So how many of you all have seen Black Panther? Yes, yes. And if you haven't seen it, then you really should go see it. It is an excellent movie. And I think that this is an excellent time to do more mythical stories, or do some mythical stories about how great of a continent Africa really is in reality, because Africa is a wonderful continent. My dad is from Nigeria, a country in Africa. So today I want to tell a story about Queen Makeda. She is the Queen of Sheba, and she's gone by 3 different names. So that's the Queen of Sheba, Bilqis, and Makeda. So I'll be alternating between the Queen of Sheba and Makeda today for the names. So I guess I'll get started. I'm going to my magical place. There once was a great queen in Africa. She was the Queen of Sheba. She was extremely wise, beautiful, and wealthy. Her subjects, they loved her. They loved her a lot. They loved seeing her with her long, kinky braids, and they loved seeing her with her dark, beautiful skin. And most of all, they loved her wit. She was extremely intelligent. On top of all of this, Makeda was magical. She could transform herself into any animal that she wanted to be. So one day, she transforms herself into a bird. And she was flying over her kingdom, just checking on her subjects. And despite everything she had, she realized that she was missing something. But what could she be missing with all this wealth, wisdom, happy people? It was a baby. She wanted a baby. But there was a challenge to her being able to have a baby. Having a baby meant having a king, and she really didn't want to deal with a man. So she was like, how can I go about being able to remain sole ruler of my kingdom, keeping my subjects happy, and not compromising that relationship with a new leader, and also have this baby that I really want? The idea popped in her head. I should consult with the wise King Solomon. So King Solomon was a great ruler in Israel at the time. So she decided, I'll pay him a visit if he allows. She sent one of her servants. Her servant said, our wise and beautiful king would like to meet with you, King Solomon. King Solomon, he said, of course. King Solomon loved beautiful women. He had about 500 and counting wives. He was like a modern day playboy of sorts. So before she arrived, he'd also heard that she was magical. And he said, I need to create a test to see if she really is magical. So he had his servants shine the floors, for he'd heard that at times she would transform her feet into goat's hooves so she can walk more gracefully across the sand and mud. Heels didn't exist then, so she made her own. So upon her arrival, she walked up and walked across the floor. King Solomon looked down, and he saw, sure enough, goat's hooves. They were gold gilded. And he said, she has to be one of my wives. I have to add her to my collection. So he came up with a plan. She said, great King Solomon, I have a challenge. If you're able to help me with this challenge, I'll give you many, many riches. He said, okay, but on one condition. She said, okay, what's that? He said, you cannot take anything from my kingdom. If you take anything from my kingdom, then you must become one of my wives. And she said, sure. I don't see why I would need to take anything. I am extremely, extremely rich. So after that, she follows King Solomon into the great hall with his servants, and they discuss many important matters, how to keep subjects happy, irrigation, and they also talked about how to keep the stable boys and maids from dating. To cut down on office drama. So in the midst of all this discussion, she grew parched. She grew very thirsty. So she called to a servant that was fanning her, and she asked them, could they bring her a glass of water? They brought her the glass of water, and she took it, she drank it, placed it down on the table. When she placed it down on the table, she looked up to see King Solomon smirking, stroking his beard. He said, "You've taken something. You've taken a glass of water. Now you must be my wife." You see, that was his plan all along. If she took anything, a glass of water, a gift he offered, or a simple piece of fruit, she would have to be his wife. And despite how crazy this was, Makita, she said, "Okay." So afterwards, after a wedding, she followed the great King Solomon into his chambers because she wanted to. And they kissed all the time, on different occasions. They kissed. They kissed until she began to grow homesick. Although the king was handsome and she was given just about everything she wanted there, she missed her people. She missed ruling over her subjects responsibly and using her wit and intellect. And she also felt like she had what she came there for. All that kissing, she was pregnant. So when she realized that she was pregnant, she transformed herself into a bird and she flew back to Africa, to her kingdom of Sheba. And she left for King Solomon a note. On the note it said, "Thank you, you've helped me solve my challenge. You've given me a baby, well, help me create a baby. And I also get a chance to remain sole ruler of my kingdom." Because you see, King Solomon, as wise as he was, he made this plan, and he told her that she had to be his wife if she took anything, even a measly cup of water. But he didn't say for how long she had to be his wife. So as soon as the Queen of Sheba grew tired of him and got what she wanted, she left. She was extremely witty, remember that? So, a little under 9 months later, she gave birth to the great Menelik I, and her subjects lived happily ever after.